Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1487 AN. Today's date is February 1st, 2018, and the title of the episode is Venezuela is ready to launch the Petros cryptocurrency to bypass the dollar. Now, before I get started, I just want to make an announcement. I uploaded a new interview with Max Porterfield. It is on the X22 Report Spotlight YouTube channel. So all you need to do is go over to YouTube, type in X22 Report Spotlight. It'll bring you right to the interview. Or you can come to the X22Report.com or NewSentinel.com websites. Scroll down a little bit, look over to your right-hand side. You can play the interview right on the site. Or you can go to Steemit. That is steemit.com/@ X22 Report. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, it's starting to look like everything is coming to a head right now. We know that the memo is going to be released. Is it going to be the full memo? Part of the memo? What does it really say? We don't know as of yet. But what we do know is that there are certain individuals in government, the deep state, and others, they're very nervous about this. And they could use this as a distraction. And what we do know is that the economy, well, it's been deteriorating very, very quickly. And I'm talking about the people's economy. I'm not talking about the made-up numbers from the government, the Fed, because they can manipulate that. They can leave people off and say they're no longer looking for jobs. They can manipulate GDP. It's very easy to do. All you have to do is change a couple calculations, leave certain items off, and you can make anything look fantastic. But the way we know that things aren't going well, we look at real indicators. What is happening in the real world? As we see the brick and mortar retail meltdown is continuing after the holiday season, we understand that things are rapidly breaking apart. Sears announced that they're going to be laying off about 220 jobs. And this is going to be in their corporate office. And we have to realize that they closed more than half of their stores already. And we can see already that their sales, their revenue, it's not doing well at all. And we see sales are dropping even faster in the third quarter of 2017, the last quarterly report available. Revenues fell to $3.7 billion, down 26% year over year and down 68% from the third quarter of 2007. Toys R Us, they don't even want to release their data. And we're seeing other stores out there now, and they're going to be declaring bankruptcy. They're hiring advisors. Bon-Ton stores, they're going to be closing 42 stores. They hired a third-party liquidator to get rid of the merchandise in their stores. Steinmart, with about 290 off-price stores in the U.S., well, their sales have fallen by 7% in the third quarter year over year. And after having fallen 4.6% in the prior year, they announced Monday that given the continuing challenges of the retail environment, they might need to restructure. Maybe they'll be going bankrupt. Remember, their debt is coming due. A lot of these brick and mortar stores, they have a lot of debt coming due, and we're starting to see a huge breakdown of the system. We see manufacturing, it has slowed, and manufacturing slipped to 59.1 with a tumble in new orders. We also see U.S. worker productivity slumped in the fourth quarter. Now, this is the first time since the first quarter of 2016 where U.S. worker productivity declined. And we see that it declined in the fourth quarter of 2017. So, this is what we are seeing right now. We're seeing the hype when Trump came into office, and now the hype is disappearing. And like I said, the corporate media is going to start playing it up that the economy is not going to be doing as well as everyone thought it was doing. And we're starting to see signs of this. They're going to start reporting on how bad the economy is doing. And they're going to head down this path, and they're probably going to ramp it up. Now, we see that there are many things happening right here. We see there are countries, there are central banks where they're demonizing cryptocurrency. We know we're heading into this major transition. Now, there are certain central banks, certain countries that they want to track everything that has to do with cryptocurrency. They want to control cryptocurrency. Then we have those countries where there's going to be maybe some type of regime change or something happening in their country because of the cabal, the deep state, where they are looking to bypass the dollar completely. Now, India, for example, they are taking all measures to eliminate cryptocurrencies. The government does not consider cryptocurrencies legal tender or coin and will take all measures to eliminate use of these crypto assets in financing. We see, on the other hand, Venezuela, they just created the Petro. And this is a cryptocurrency, and the Venezuelan authorities plan to set the initial price of their national cryptocurrency at $60 per one Petro. Now, according to the media outlets, some 38.4 million Petros are expected to be sold during the preliminary phase of the trading session. And what this will do, it will allow Venezuela to completely bypass the dollar and use a completely different currency. So what we're seeing right now is those countries that have a lot of pressure on them, who have sanctions, they're getting around them by using the cryptocurrencies. Those countries that have the private Western Central Bank, where the countries are controlled by these banks, they're just demonizing the cryptocurrency, or saying they won't accept the cryptocurrency, or they're saying that they need every single piece of information if you're going to purchase or sell or exchange cryptocurrencies. This is all about control. This is all about bypassing the dollar. So on one hand, the central banks, the deep state, they want to control what everyone's doing. The other hand, we have countries who don't want the deep state, don't want the central banks to control what they're doing. They're bypassing it, and they're using this new form of currency to do this. And what is happening here is that the world is in chaos because the central bank system, the way we have known it, and I'm talking about the private Western Central Bank, the Rothschild Bank, is under threat right now. They know it. And I do believe, because Trump does have Andrew Jackson hanging in the wall, on his wall in the White House, that he's going to be making a move to separate the U.S. from the central banking system. Everything goes back to the central banking system. And if you don't realize this and you don't understand this, do a little bit of research. You can see by creating currency, by having the control of creating currency and putting countries into debt and enslaving the people, you can control a nation. You don't have to make any laws. You don't have to do anything like that. Because once they're in debt, they have to do what you say. Unless the people rise up and they get rid of the central bank. But most of the countries who have tried to do this, Greece tried to do this, they elected a leader who they thought was going to go up against the central bank. It didn't work out. He folded, that's Cyprus, and he fell in line. And we can see right now there are very few individuals that will go up against the central bank. The central bank is very powerful, and they control the world currency right now. The problem is that we have this new cryptocurrency system, this new currency system, where it can be used to get around the central banking system, the deep state, the cabal. And this is what they're most nervous about. So they're under threat. And remember, the dollar right now, and I know they talk about terrorism and criminals using cryptocurrencies. Well, who uses the dollar? The deep state, the cabal. This is their way of funding their operations all over the world. This is what they use to fund everything. So if we were going to have a transition and we were going to reset everything, and when we say reset everything, it doesn't mean it's just the economy. When we reset everything, it's people who are in government, the central bank system. It's one gigantic reset. How do you do that? How do you get rid of certain groups who have been controlling the world for a very long time? Well, during the transition, you shut down the system, and then you reset it. You shut down the central banking system. You shut down the dollar. You make sure that the deep state, the cabal, they don't have funding. They can't use it to do anything, to put pressure on nations. Once you remove the funding, you have control. And the only way to do this and to take control of the system is to remove the central bank system and allow the country to create its own currency. Because if we go through a transition and the central bank still exists, nothing has changed. The government will once again become corrupt because of the free money. Everything will be exactly the same. There'll be no difference. It will be fine for a couple of years, whatever it takes, 10, 15, 20, 30 years. Everyone think it'll be great. In the meantime, the central bankers, what they're doing is they're placing all of their laws into place, setting up their system once again. Once again, if China still has the private Western Central Bank, they'll be doing the same exact thing. I mean, of course, everyone won't realize this is happening. Everyone will just feel the growth of the new system because we don't have that much debt. But the reset will put us back to where we were when we went on to the petrodollar in 1971. And that was the beginning of the central bank system, where they were able to create currency and continually create currency out of thin air without it being backed by anything. There was no checks or balances or anything like that. And we're going to see the same thing happen once again. So what the people need to do is we need to band together. We need to get rid of the central bank. We need to call out and demand the central bank no longer controls the economy of the United States and the world. And this is going out to the world. And if we can do that, we then will be able to take back our system. Because if the currency is created and it's all accounted for, and let's say we use a cryptocurrency, guess what? There's only a certain number of coins that are produced. There's a ledger, so we know where these coins have gone. And we know what has been happening. Today, because there's a central bank, you can't audit them. You can't look at their books. You can't do anything. It's private. That's why it's called a private Western Central Bank. It's a private corporation. They don't want you looking at their stuff. So we can see that we're headed towards this transition. What type of transition it's going to be, we don't know. But when we go through the transition, it's going to be, like I said before in other reports, one or two ways. It's going to be a hard transition controlled by the central bank, or a softer type of transition controlled by Trump and others who are trying to bring us to someplace else besides the central bank system. So no matter what, you need to be ready and prepared, because there's a lot of people out there that don't realize that this is coming. They don't understand that this is coming. They don't understand that this system is dead and it needs to be reset. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.